Hi, everyone, and welcome to our, what's called the lunch and learn talk, and thank you for hosting this. Today, we're going to talk about the college canvas and talk about the aspects of nature and nurture that affect college students. Okay. So first thing we want to kind of look at is between the 7 years between 2013, 2021, the percentage of students meeting the criteria for one or more Axis 1 diagnosis rose to more than 60%. Okay, that's a marked increase. Okay, it's actually over doubled from the 2013 numbers. Okay, and currently only 9% of students in college or universities report their mental health as being excellent. Okay, so 91% know that there's issues in college. Okay. And 51% of those that dropped out state that mental health was the issue of where they had a problem either fitting in, okay, to continue their education. So brief look at the topics we're going to cover today. Then I'm going to start out by looking at nature versus nurture. Okay, age-old debate. Okay, since we started studying the brain, is it your genetic factors, or is it your experiences in life that dictate what your outcome in life is going to be? Okay, so half of lifetime mental health issues, first onset, are seen in adolescence. Okay, then 3/4 of that. Then 3/4 manifest by your mid-20s. Well, if you're working in a college, you know, those are the prime years. So for the nature of this presentation, these are the, I want to say dictionary, but these are your definitions of nature and nurture. Here's an overlook of the debate we were talking about here. Is what is determined by our genetic makeup and what is determined by our everyday experiences in life, our cultural attributes, where we've lived. And that varies greatly from like one side of the nation to the other side of the nation, from even one household to the other household just next door on your own block. Okay. Looking at the relevance, highly relevant to mental health for the college students to explore the contributions of your genetic factors, environmental influences, and to understand the context for college students to welcome insights as to what the best learning possibilities and what the best support systems are and what challenges college students will experience. Jung just says that there is an interplay between the genetic and the experiences of life and what the outcome for a college student will, you know, whether or not they'll finish their degrees, whether they'll be happy in what they choose. That. So, and then these are the consideration. So here, like your first time undergrad students, 24.1% have a dropout rate contributed to mental health. It increases to 40% of undergrads altogether during their course of studies, and that directly relates to mental health issues. Okay. Depression is associated with a twofold increase in the dropout rate. One of the first indicators, not of depression, but people report financial insecurity first, depression second. Okay. And naturally, the financial insecurity relates to depression and how that unfolds. Okay. And during this time too, you realize that our prefrontal cortex, right? Frontal lobe, that's dealing with, it's our prioritizing, our decision making, and just generally our choices we make and what we're interested in. That hasn't even fully developed until our mid-20s. So during this time, that's still increasing the neurons and the plasticity and everything's going on. So we can't say that everything is directly finalized and everybody's making great decisions. That's fine. So we're gonna look at the mental health landscape that affects college students and the adjustment. Okay. These are the top 8 contributors to mental health issues on campus. And then in the blue boxes, when you see those are going to be the points of reference if you're interested in further information on a topic. Okay. So first 4, identity exploration. This is the first time that many students have had a chance to make their own decisions without parental influence or parental commentary. Okay. So all of a sudden you can make your own friends. Your friends aren't limited to who your friends' children are, who your parents associate with. Transition into independence. You're not having to tell anybody where you go, what time you'll be back. All of a sudden, it's just kind of free flowing. Academic pressures. It's not high school. And it's important to note now that we're dealing with students that for 2 years didn't have any really formality of education. COVID shut down these students that said they were told when COVID started, and they maybe a junior in high school, their school said, "Don't worry, you're gonna graduate." So whether or not they even showed up to their online classes didn't make a difference. Okay? So here we are now. They're dealing with the ramification of non-structure for 2 years, because many didn't have in classroom a full 2 years. And then social adjustments. All of a sudden, somebody saying you shouldn't associate with this person, or you don't have that other influence. And then you've got a complete different demographic than possibly what you were used to. And if you came from small town Midwest and you go, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with people from larger cities, it's extremely different. Personally, for us, my oldest son, we were living in a small town when he graduated high school. And we were probably 2 years before, but the people in his class went on to larger universities. I'd say 70% didn't make it through the first year. It was so overwhelming to go from a class of under 100 to go to classrooms that had a couple hundred students, and the professor really didn't know even if you were there. So they just, they ended up coming home. They were just so overwhelmed. Careers and future. I personally see a lot of students when, okay, what class are you taking? What is your field? Oh, I'm taking this. Okay, well, what makes you interested in that? Well, my parents said, so some of the direction is being dictated by parents. And I understand that the outlook of where the financial security is, but also once, it's kind of a perfect storm. Once you get in somewhere and you're getting to make your own decisions, and all of a sudden you're being offered other insights and other opportunities. And, sometimes students don't even know a certain career path exists because they haven't been exposed to that. Financial concerns, a lot of times, Parents are just get there, it'll work out, you know? And now everything's changing with the FAFSA, things like that. There's more worry and concern whether or not, you know, should I unenroll and then go work for a year, then try to come back? You know, it's tangled web. I mean, that's what we're looking at. Pressure to succeed. A lot of people feel I was a great student in high school, therefore I will be on the honor roll and a great student in college. Maybe not. You know, that's the reality. Everybody expects the same atmosphere as high school, but from what I see, it's like, well, everybody understood if I didn't get my work. Everybody, you know, it was kind of free flowing as long as I had it in by. It's a little different now. Welcome to adulthood. And then the difference between dependency and autonomy. You know, want to be free flowing, yet you still need your backup of your parents. You know, I think when first year I was here, one of the greatest things I heard was somebody was just having a discussion down the hallway. Oh, my parents need to understand that I'm a strong, independent person. And then later on in the day, I heard the same person asking a parent to put some money into their account. You know, those little you know, yeah, you know, so these are the top 8 of, you know, what the mind is trying to process, figure out who you are, what now, you know, what you want to wear. I did have some students, even when the professor passed away last year, topic came in, well, did you go to the service? I didn't know what to wear. Anybody, if there was a funeral, mom always had my outfit and said, you know, pants and stuff, we'll make sure they're at the dry cleaner, do you need this to be cleaned? So they weren't even prepared to make the decision on, geez, where am I with that? So we'll take a look at genetic factors. A lot of times people don't really know where the nature nurture line is defined. So inherited predispositions, what you're inheriting from your parents can influence and contribute to certain mental health. Some they've charted, and you're more likely under the right circumstances to have it manifest. Okay, schizophrenia, bipolar, some more of your psychotic disorders. Okay. So you get your neurotransmitter imbalances. That's when we talk about serotonin levels. You've got your rods and receptors. If you're not, YouTube would not let me download the video. There's a great video for it. But things get out of sync. So your brain, you know, releases the chemical. Then literally it's like your rods and receptors open up to receive the chemical and they close. But if it's out of sync even by a little bit, while the chemical is being released, if the rods and receptors are already open, they may close by the time the chemical reaches where it needs to be absorbed. Okay, so that's where we come into some problems with, you know, neurotransmitter imbalances, things like that. Okay, like here, schizophrenia, bipolar, have genetic components. They've found certain personality traits can be influenced, and that's even your introversion and extroversion. You know. So and then here's your top mental health disorders that are contributed by genetics: anxiety, depression, bipolar, eating disorders, substance abuse, ADHD, and your stress related. Okay. Now your ADHD, you usually see that in start to be diagnosable in age 7. But there's a lot of, I have never met a family or worked with a family that has not gone extensively out of their way to manage their household to be more compliant with an ADHD individual. And I think that's why when we come to college has not used their parents' formula And all of a sudden, here you are. Well, I don't know why my ADHD is so bad. Well, it's bad because mom knows and has started over the years. She turns the TV off at a certain time. Maybe the lights are turned down. There's less stimuli in the home. She knows to get you to do your homework. You've got to sit at the table and not be in where other people are gaming or doing other activities to take that. Then all of a sudden you've got a roommate, the roommate's doing this, and people are in and out, and it's like, in our house, we refer to it as, oh, the squirrel effect. Something caught my attention and then I'm lost.
Is a spectrum in there somewhere?
As far as neurodivergence or autism,
Yeah.
autism, that's a genetic, but it's not, there's a lot of studies right now and they haven't issued that as an actual Axis 1. Because they're trying to group it with neurodivergence, but there's a lot of studies going on with that right now. So genetically, each generation, you're losing 50% of what you can inherit. So by the time you get to your 9th generation, you're probably not inheriting anything past that. Okay. Now,
That's really interesting.
and we get more of our genes from our mother's side. The genes are in the egg, and genes are carried in the W chromosome too. So that's, a lot of our genes come, that's why when we look at like schizophrenia, certain aspects, if mom or grandma had that, therapists, medical providers, if they know, they will really be on the watch for that. Then environmental factors, which is nature's, which is what we experience in life. Everything from, cold and snowy days, like, or, everything that our parents showed us in life. Yeah. So in the college environment, academic pressures, social dynamics, lifestyle changes, quality and choice of your peer network. A lot of times, see, like if parents had a real rigid, these are the people you can associate with, these are the people that come to our house, these are, what are welcomed in our household and our family. People get to college, I'd say 60% get a high interest in people that maybe they've been told they shouldn't associate with. Trying new things, such like that, okay? So, negative experiences contribute to stress and anxiety. Academic stress, high academic expectations, not only from the student, but from the parent. A lot of times we don't understand you're an A student at home, you should be an A student in college. Doesn't work that way. Okay. The ability to cope with academic pressures or any pressures as far as that goes. And then lifestyle choices, diet, exercise, different patterns and substance use. What we're going to see now are the top contributors for mental health conditions that are contributed by nurture. Now, some of these we're going to see they overlap. And that's because you can be genetically predisposed to something, right? But unless the environmental trigger is there for it to present itself, it may not, or you may have learned such excellent coping skills during the course of your life that they don't manifest. Okay? So, see, like your anxiety, depression, eating disorders, substance use, those are the top ones, that maybe parents didn't notice, but then when you get to college, the stress, the experience, honestly, even, tinkering with substance use. Yes, some people, this is the age up until about 25. If any psychoses runs in the family, genetically, you can have a trigger during college that all of a sudden will manifest it. And it just needs to be one experience, whether it's drug use, alcohol use, something that created a PTSD outlook. And sometimes that can even be a horrific breakup during this time. And like I said, the attention deficit, it overlaps. A lot of it, parents have adjusted for throughout life, then you come here or go anywhere once you're on your own and readjusting to that and creating your scheduling is, very difficult. Adjustment disorder, almost every college student, the first 6 months can have an adjustment disorder. It's just being away from home, learning how to do laundry, learning, what to eat, what not to eat, and scheduling. So now we're going to talk a little bit about adverse childhood experiences. And I do have and this isn't anything that you need to share, but you can look this over, score this. This was a questionnaire that was devised in 1999 by a multitude of higher institutions and researchers. So I'll give you a few minutes to just go ahead, look at that. Everything's scored the same. It's 1 point each. This is widely used in some universities upon prior to incoming freshmen or anytime anybody transfers in. Everybody had a chance to that. Wait a bit more time. Okay, so from these 10 questions, estimated 60% will score 0. Okay, and that's nationally. And they predicted 5 to 10%. Yeah, somebody didn't really answer truthfully on everything, okay, or may not know the whole story or situation. Okay, but when you look at this, even a 1 score on that has an intermittent risk of health and associated, not only physical health, but associated mental health ramifications. Okay. And then 3. And when you look at this, I see a lot of things that just apply to standard society today, divorce, separation. We see a lot of, family abuse, things like that. So when you get adults with a 4, look here, are twice as likely to be smokers, 5 times to have depression, 7 times more likely to be alcoholic, 10 times more likely to take illicit drugs, and 12 times more likely to attempt suicide. With each point that goes up, those numbers go up 10%. So for some people, and I have had people that have scored a 10, right? So 10, that their likelihood of even attempting suicide is 1,220 times more likely to attempt. Okay, that's just a huge number. And then, so questions to ponder or to think about. What do everybody has their own individuality? What do they see as being more affecting, nature or nurture? How, when you think about it, how did you become who you are? Do you attribute it more to family influence? Or do you attribute it more to your experiences in life? Or to who your friends were? Nature is very important, and genetic effects that influence development. But nurture is, just as important. Because you can say, certain people have certain likes that they can attribute directly to who their friends were or what their experiences were. I always say, to people, college should be one of in the top 5 experiences of your life, really. Because this is where people have a chance to really start learning to advocate for themselves, speaking for themselves, and becoming who they are. But sometimes even developing who you are creates a lot of conflict if you're finding it so different from who your parents were or what your family expectations are. Again, nature inherited, get some talent from the parents. Comparison to nature nurture is something that person obtains through hard work, strong work in a particular field. So there's not, Dr. I can't pronounce his last name, Vishal Gandhi does some extraordinary work in this. And again, 2 people can experience the same thing and turn out totally different, and that's a lot of the genetic influences. For those that have kids, siblings, you can have 2 siblings, they can only not look alike, but they can also not act alike, One person, two people from the family can see the same situation. One person can get PTSD, the other one be fine and just go on about their business and not be directly in the spot. So that's how just different the 2 sides of the coin can be. And again, just an overview of what anxiety really is. It's impacted both by nature and nurture. There's, they've found genetic links. And they've also, if you don't learn appropriate coping skills, mechanisms, and if you're not taught those growing up, a lot of times you'll see anxiety run in family. Mom or dad will have horrible anxiety. And what it is the child has learned from watching their parents how they deal with situations. So therefore, this is how I deal with situations. Conclusion. Important to remember, consideration of college students' mental health. Understanding nature nurture debate is crucial for developing both a comprehensive learning and support systems. And that each person is unique in their DNA makeup and life experiences. So to look at, like kind of one size fits all dynamic. It doesn't happen. I think it would be great to go, oh, you have anxiety, here you go, do these 3 things, this is gonna take care of it. Well, no, and a lot of times you have to sit and explain, this is why we talk about what your life was growing up, what are you more likely to do, what are you less likely to do? And if, for me, if I tell people, I give you a couple of things to try, don't come back and tell me that you tried it and, it's all good. If you don't like it, there's hundreds of things you can try. You've got to find what works for you. And so it's not a very one stop, pick something off the wall and that's going to be it. Questions?